Our next guest believes that personal and professional development isn't about acquiring more knowledge. It's about cultivating a practice of questioning everything you already know to discover more inspiring possibilities, perpetually outgrowing yourself. Please welcome Sherril Harris. Hi, Sherril. How are you today?
Hey, Kelly, I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So what do people not understand about social and emotional intelligence?
Well, I'm going to direct this to business people. Every business out there, whether you're in sales and service or whether you're providing back of the house, is really in the feelings business. If you've got customers and you're exploring your customer experience from the right angle, your first question is always going to be, how do I want my customer to feel? And I've done a lot of customer experience work out there, starting with that question. But especially today, that conversation is even larger because it's about, what do I want my people to feel in order for the customer to feel the way I want them to feel? So really, no matter what business we're in a feelings business. And for years, social emotional intelligence was considered a nice to have, not a must have. And today, it's a must have.
So why is the most important investment companies can make right now in the social and emotional intelligence?
I'll give you a couple of examples here, and I'm going to pull the camera lens out as I go. Recently, I had an experience with a luxury coat manufacturer. They made the decision to just make their customer service interface chatbot driven. Mm-hmm. And eventually, if you hang on long enough, you'll get a human being, but you'll only be able to chat with them, which means that more than ever, that human being is important. And the way they handle a customer who makes it that far in the process could make or break your business. And in my case, sadly, it broke it. Because when I got to that single employee, she was choosing to interact with me in a way that didn't demonstrate that she had been trained in social emotional intelligence. And so probably without even meaning to, she only added more frustration to the process for me until I ultimately made the decision that I was just going to send the coat back because it was more trouble than it was worth. And we're talking about a coat here that's, for a lot of people, maybe a few car payments. So they're going to feel the impact of that loss of business if it continues over time. So it's really important as we begin to choose business models that make the experience with a human happen in the chain of touch points where it's now a make or break. We've got to make sure our people are trained. Now, that's the customer level. Let's pull out the camera a little bit and take a look at the employee level. So, full disclosure, my husband is also a speaker and he deals with innovation mindset. And one of the things that we are always consulting with each other about is how, as companies scramble to get out there and leverage AI in whatever way is going to enhance their business, they really need to be stepping into first a conversation with their employees about how those employees should feel about it. Because when people feel uncomfortable, they do their own research. And I don't know if you've heard this or not, but you go on the internet sometimes and you don't always get the truth. It's kind of a crazy thing right now, right? So companies need to understand that how their employees feel around the conversation of AI is just as important as choosing the right AI to enhance and grow their business. And then finally, the last year has seen us the great realignment. We are stepping into the great retirement as a lot of boomers leave the workforce. And a lot of people are promoting up in a way that we haven't seen in recent times. So when you give an emerging leader responsibility, if you train them in social emotional intelligence, then they're better prepared to not only occupy that role, but to also make the transition from being just one of the guys or gals to being somebody now who has to earn their trust and know how to motivate and lead that team. So social emotional intelligence is not a nice to have. It's definitely a must to have. And right now, it should be on everybody's docket for 2024.
And it seems like after COVID, we've been seeing more and more of this, where we're getting away from that personal connection and we're having more connections with computers, with AI, with doing things ourselves. So this really is important going forward as a business model. So what is the secret sauce, so to speak?
So for me, my secret sauce when I'm teaching social emotional intelligence or working with a client is I like to employ a lot of humor, because here's the thing. The things that we go into, we roll up our sleeves and we dig into topics about how people perceive themselves and the world, what I call self-awareness. And that can take us to a lot of uncomfortable places. And I believe that social emotional intelligence is a practice. I see a lot of companies invest in social emotional intelligence education, and then they don't follow it up with a practice, a really solid practice to hold that in place, that teaching in place, and also create a pathway for their teams to develop in their use and understanding of the material. So it's very important from the get-go to create an environment where people feel inspired to try, to do it wrong, because some of the best way we learn is by doing just that, doing it wrong. Humor also is going to tickle the dopamine system in the brain, which there's a lot of evidence out there to suggest that this helps in learning and retention. Pew Research Group did a wonderful poll where they asked people where they retained their news information from better. And it turns out that when they watched things like the Colbert Report and the Daily Show and it made them laugh, they actually retained what they heard better than on standard news. So I'm a huge fan of making it relatable and making it fun and injecting the funny wherever we can. Because, hey, this human stuff can be a little hard.
So what are some ways that you can help individuals and even companies develop and kind of get better at their SEI?
I recommend having a conversation so that we can assess where's your SEI at right now. I've got a lot of clients that I work with who have already introduced the topic into their company, and they're looking to take it to the next level because of some of the disruptors that we talked about before. Keynotes are a great starter. I have a really fun keynote that I could do live or virtually to get the conversation started. Then we can wrap back around and have a deeper conversation around how can we now take that information and implement a plan, maybe workshops, maybe training. What's our long-term goal to make sure that whatever your individual business objectives are, that we hit that mark every time.
So where can folks find more information on getting in touch with you?
There's two ways to find me. You can go through LinkedIn under Sherril Harris. I have such an unusual spelling to my first name. I'm pretty easy to find. Or you can reach me through Sherril at SherrilHarris.com and my website, SherrilHarris.com.
Hopefully we'll get more businesses involved in doing this, and we'll see a better outcome for not only businesses, but individuals as well. Sherril, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate your insight today. We'll be right back.
It's been a delight to be here.